This week on Literally Victorian, we explore how Victorians understood, treated, feared, and sometimes romanticised the common cold. Throughout most of the 19th century, Victorians had no concept of viruses. The common cold wasn't seen as a microbe, but as an imbalance or a moral or environmental disturbance. They believed colds were caused by sudden chills, damp clothing, miasma, bad air rising from filth, night fog, moral weakness, thin blood, overexertion, especially among working class men, or the catch-all diagnosis, taking a chill. A cold wasn't something you caught. It was something that happened to you because you weren't careful, cautious, or strong enough. This belief shaped everything that came next. The Victorian cold looked much like our own: sneezing, congestion, a sore throat, coughing, runny nose, and fatigue. But the Victorian response to those symptoms was vastly different. Why? Well, because for a population with unheated houses, poor nutrition, chronic pollution, tuberculosis everywhere, and no antibiotics, a simple cold could quickly slide into bronchitis, pneumonia, pleurisy, or even consumption. The line between just a sniffle and something far worse was extremely and frighteningly thin. Victorians knew this. They lived with it daily. The Victorian medicine cabinet was creative. Some remedies were harmless, even comforting: hot beef tea, honey and lemon, warm baths, gargling salt water, staying near a fire, rest and warm blankets. But many cures were far more questionable. Laudanum, opium-laced tincture given for coughs, sleeplessness, fever, irritability, even to children. It didn't cure anything. It simply made patients too sedated to complain. Chloroform liniments, rubbed on the chest to loosen congestion, more likely to burn the skin. Ammonia inhalations was believed to shock the lungs awake. It certainly shocked something. Mustard plasters, hot mustard paste spread on cloth and applied to the chest until it blistered. This was thought to draw out the illness. Whiskey and hot water, a surprisingly common cold remedy. Was it helpful? Perhaps. Was it dangerous? Quite possibly. Cold baths, prescribed by certain doctors. This was meant to strengthen the constitution. It usually just worsened the cold. Victorians treated the cold with a mixture of folk magic, homeopathy, alcohol, narcotics, and grit. And somehow they often got through it. A pale face, a slight cough, a soft voice. In Victorian literature, these traits were often portrayed as fragile, feminine, even poetic. Young women were sometimes encouraged to take the air, while ill, bundled in shawls, strolling through frosty gardens. This did not help their colds, but it fit the romantic ideal. For the wealthy, there were warm rooms, heated bricks for the feet, cashmere blankets, a doctor who visited promptly, and servants to carry hot drinks upstairs. For the poor, cold, damp lodging rooms, no heating, thin clothing, long working hours, and little rest. A cold in a slum could be deadly. For a factory worker, it could mean lost wages. For a child, it could turn into pneumonia within days. The cold was universal, but its consequences were not. Victorian cities were the perfect incubators for winter illness. London, Manchester, Birmingham, all choked with coal smoke, chemical pollution, open sewage, rotting refuse, overcrowded courthouses, drafty housing. The famous London fog was not mist. It was pollution, thick, yellow, oily and cold. Breathing it irritated the throat and lungs, and Victorians blamed it for thousands of colds every winter. This wasn't entirely wrong. Though they didn't know viruses existed, they understood that cold, damp and filth made people sick. Not how, but that it happened. Sometimes that was enough. Victorian doctors had little to offer for the cold, yet they were frequently summoned. A typical doctor's advice would be, stay warm, stay indoors, drink broth, avoid cold draughts, take opium tincture for the cough, avoid excitement. If symptoms worsened, many physicians feared pneumonia, the winter killer. Doctors would then prescribe bloodletting, less common by mid-century but still used, cupping, blistering, stronger opiates, alcohol tonics, complete bed rest. Most people recovered on their own, but when they didn't, Victorian doctors often had no idea why. In the final decades of the Victorian era, something remarkable happened. Scientific research from Europe, particularly Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch, pointed to germs as the cause of many illnesses. The old miasma theory began to crumble. At first, British doctors resisted. Then slowly they adapted. Better ventilation, cleaner hospitals, hand washing, sterilised instruments, less crowding in sick rooms, and improved public sanitation. It didn't cure the common cold, nothing truly could, but it did make the outcomes far safer. By the dawn of the 20th century, the cold was beginning to resemble what it is today: annoying, familiar, and rarely deadly. In the end, the story of the Victorian common cold is not about sneezes or sniffles. It is about the world around the cold. Poverty, pollution, poor housing, limited medicine, superstition, social pressure, and the slow, stubborn journey towards scientific understanding. Victorians lived in a world before modern health, and yet they persevered. Their cold cures tell us as much about their fears and beliefs as any medical text of the era. In their warm shawls and chilly bedrooms, in fog-darkened streets and gaslit parlours, they faced winter with courage and creativity, surviving an age when even a common cold was anything but simple. Thank you very much for listening and watching this week. Until next time, take care, try not to catch a cold, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.